All right, today the saw we're going to look at, this is a miter saw, and what a miter saw does is it's got a big circular blade. When you turn the power on and pull it down, it'll cut your wood at an angle. So for this one, we can go anywhere from 50 degrees to 0 degrees, and then 50 degrees this direction. So to do that, you're just going to unlock this, pull up on the brake, and then you can switch it over to say 45 degrees. So if I have it set at 45 degrees, if I'm doing a 90-degree corner, I'm going to set it at 45 and cut my angles at 45. So I'm going to set it back to 0. Every time you walk away from this saw, you need to make sure that you do set it back to 0. If you have it running at 1 or 2 degrees off of 0 and somebody else comes to use it, they might not notice it. So before you walk away, make sure that you set it back to 0, and before you use it, make sure it is set to 0. So this is a miter saw. There's a couple different types of miter saw. This is called a compound miter saw, and what that means is that it will cut an angle this way, but also if you look back here, there's a big arcing gauge back here, and you can lean this whole thing over so you can cut it on multiple angles, or a compound angle. So it's cutting 45 on the face and then 45 at a bias also if you want to. We generally just use this set at 90 straight up and down for a flatter cut. Miter saws can be really, really accurate, so when we're doing final length on things, if we had a nicer table set up here, we could do that. Mostly we use this one for rough cutting, so we're taking bigger pieces of lumber and cutting them down to smaller pieces of lumber. This machine does have a lock on it, so if you see that it's down and it's not wanting to go up for you, it could be locked down. And the way we get rid of that lock is we push down here, and then we pull this pin back here and lift the whole thing up. As far as safety goes on this tool, you're going to need hearing protection. This is a louder tool. I'll always wear a respirator with it, and then safety glasses as well. When we are using this tool, before you start it up, you got to make sure everything's tied up. If you have any long sleeves hanging off, long necklaces, earrings, longer hair, you want to make sure it's all pulled up and put away. I like an apron, kind of keeps my clothes clean. I wear black every day, and it keeps me a little bit cleaner. Second thing you're going to do is make sure that there's no tools laying out here. If you have a tool in this zone right here, and you come down and that blade hits the tool, it's going to send it shooting across the room, which is super, super dangerous. You don't want to do that. You're going to break the blade and possibly hurt yourself or somebody else. And then another thing you want to do is after you make a cut, you want to use something like this, just a push stick. So after I make my cut, to get my piece of wood out of there, I'm going to go in there. I don't want to reach in there. So anywhere directly below where this blade goes, so basically this yellow zone right here, I never want to see anybody's fingers in there. It's like the no-go zone for sure. You can hold stuff kind of out here, but you don't want to be any closer. You don't want to be up in there trying to make your cuts. All right, so when I go to make a cut, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out where I want to make my cut. So on this one, I'm going to use my square. I'm going to hold it here, mark it with a pencil. Now this has an 1/8 inch wide blade on it. So when I go to make my cut, if I line the blade up right in the middle right here, it's going to be short by a 1/16. If I have it all the way on this side of the blade, it'll be short by an 1/8 of an inch. But if I have the blade on the outside of my cut, so this is my scrap, the blade runs down right here up against that line, then I'll have the right length that I want. So to set that up, I'm just going to go ahead and line it up with the blade right now. Okay, so before I make my cut, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my respirator on, then my glasses. Then my hearing protection. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to line the blade so it's on the right side over here. So this is my scrap, this is the piece I want. So I come in right here and I just want to line up that tube right there. Looks like it. Now for dust collection on this, this hose over here goes off to a shop vac, and for now that's what we have to kind of minimize dust from blowing around the room. Get my scrap out of there, take this, and then my scrap goes down in the scrap bin, and we can clean that up later once the bin gets